This is Synchronicity.
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 People are ordering food faster.
Wow.
In a few hours, there's going to be an event take place. And you won't get food for 6 months to a year.
We'll be right back after this special message.
Welcome, guys. My guest today is Vic Berger. He's one of my favorite people. I know I say that at the beginning of every episode. It just happens to be true. I'm trying to talk to people who I consider my favorite people. I've never met Vic in person. I started following him on Twitter. You'll hear me mention, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, something like that. And it's been made my Twitter and by proxy my life just so much better. And I mean that. I don't mean that in a throwaway, oh, well, it's been great. I mean, he's actually made my life better. In case you don't know, and you'll find out more about Vic during this entire episode, he is a video editor, composer, songwriter, generally awesome fellow, who's been doing these hilarious and poignant and incredible video edits and vines of various people like Chubby Checker, Emeril Lagasse, Steven Seagal. Recently has moved into the political world, Donald Trump, Ben Carson, Jeb Bush, Mike Huckabee. And there's really no way to accurately explain what these videos are like. So I'm just going to encourage you to check out his YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Vic the IV, which is the fourth. So Vic the fourth. Subscribe there. Do yourselves a favor. Like I said, Vic has made my life so much better just by virtue of being connected with him on social media, right? I mean, if someone can do that, that's saying a lot. And how has he made my life better? That's an important thing. So the world is a fucked up place, right? We know that. We don't need to be reminded of that too often because we see it, whether it's mass shootings, whether it's ISIS and terrorism, whether it's, I'm dealing with a personal health insurance issue now, which is a nightmare. There's shit that's not so great around us. So and I've spoken about this before, one of the best antidotes we have to these not so great feelings that can make us feel trapped and afraid and scared is laughing and laughter in general. And when you find someone, whether it's a friend or someone you know or a show or a comedian who can genuinely make you laugh from the primordial parts of your soul, that's someone who you should be grateful for. And Vic is definitely that guy. I've had the pleasure of seeing him gain in popularity and fame over the past year. He's been involved in some ridiculously cool things. Like you'll hear about it. You'll hear about these things like this Jeb Bush thing and this tattoo. He has had, I'm sure he's got to work with people like Tim Heidecker, Greg Turkington, aka Neil Hamburger. If you don't know these names, I mean, FYI, on this, you don't always have to go to the podcast page for links. You can if you want, and there's usually good stuff in there. But today, I very much encourage you to go to mindpodnetwork.com/Noah, and you will see the latest episode, this episode. Click on that page because in there will be links and embeds of a lot of Vic stuff because I tried to pick out just a few things that I think you guys would enjoy, but I couldn't. There's a lot of them because they're so freaking good. So Vic also talks about something that I think is really important to give a little focus here at the beginning of the podcast. he talks about being bothered by, a fair number of things, especially in the news, right? Just shit that's going on, scary things, kind of asshole-y type of people like Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. But what he does, and I think this is such an awesome thing, is he transmutes that anger into something creative that's also funny. And that's like a real magic trick right there. That's a skill to take something that's scaring people or is frightening, and maybe it still is, but at least be able to reframe it in a way that makes people laugh. That's a real skill. So I wanted to pay a special attention to that. But on top of that, and this is why I was really happy speaking with him, he's just a really nice, down-to-earth guy. And I wasn't expecting anything different, but, you'll hear at the beginning he talks about for the past decade, past 10 years, he's been working with mentally disabled people, or had been working with mentally disabled people doing some form of music therapy. I don't think he was a licensed music therapist, but he was working with people, and you could see his approach to that. And he does mention getting burned out, but he's a really special type of guy, and I look forward to getting to know him better and just following his career. So follow him on Twitter, follow him on Vine. Subscribe to him on YouTube, Instagram, every place you can connect with Vic. You will be happier for doing it. So that's all I got. Rate the podcast if you like it. You don't even have to do that. Just listen to Vic and check out his stuff. That's what the point of this episode is. So thanks for listening, and here is Vic Berger. Also for doing this, I really appreciate it.
Sure thing.
I know. I mean, you're blowing up now. I'm sure you're aware. I am not surprised at all. I mean, it's truly like I've been. I think a long time ago, Tim Heidecker tweeted something out. And it was like, I don't remember exactly what it was. It might have been like a response video to an On Cinema thing.
That's probably what it was.
Yep. Yeah, and I was like, you know what? This is like actually legitimately hilarious, like as funny as anything else as I've seen. And then since then, it's just been a real pleasure following you and seeing what you've done. So,
thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, you're one of the first people to follow me. I remember I was stuck at like 15 like bot followers.
Oh yeah.
And then you're the one of the people that came on,
Well, it was I try to, Twitter to me is one of my favorite things, just because I find it to be such an interesting thing in like the development of like human consciousness, that like people can not have to verbalize words to each other. It's not even like typing, which is another filter. They just do these quick little thoughts that they have, and like if it's unfiltered, you can just see completely how insane a person can be, or you can see like this person really is awesome. So I love it, and I use it as best I can. Okay, so we'll start. First question, right off. How did you start? I know you went to Berkeley, which is my alma mater as well. And songwriting was your major?
It was. I originally went there. I took the tour in high school.
Yeah, me too.
And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I mean, I was really into songwriting and especially recording.
Yeah.
And they take me around and showed me the studios and everything. I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And then I got there, and they changed the rules that you had to like go through this application process and interviews and everything. And I was just, I would get nervous in the interviews and everything. And I mean, I knew it's what I really wanted to do, but I just could not get past those like initial interviews. And the guy would be like, he would like, I remember bringing in a song that I was really proud of, and he stopped it with like 10 seconds into the song.
Oh, boy.
And he's like, all right, what should happen here? What's wrong with this?
Holy shit.
I don't know, man. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Do you remember who it was? Do you remember what teacher?
Oh God, what was his name? I'm sure I could think of it. It might have been maybe Jazzco.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It might have been him. There's a number of them that of just course. Like, I just like held grudges all throughout. And then by my what would that be, 4th or 5th semester of trying to get in, I was like, I got to get out of here. It's expensive, you know what I mean? So I just finished off with a songwriting degree, which doesn't really, people aren't calling
honestly,
me for jobs for that. But
I will say this. I have a funny story of actually getting into the music synthesis department. I had terrible grades. I'm talking like really bad grades. I left school for a little bit, and I basically went in with like my portfolio and told them like, listen, I took too much acid my first like 3 semesters. So this is what happened. This is why I left school. This is why my grades are shitty. Here's my portfolio. I think I should be in. And I think they were just so like blown away by my candidness that they let me in, which it was nuts. But I will say this about the songwriting versus music synthesis. My degree is fucking useless. At least when you say you have a songwriting degree, people know what that means. When I say I have a degree in music synthesis, that literally means nothing. Like, and then I have to explain, I know how to do this. I know how to, I'm telling you,
I don't even, like, I went to the school and I'm still totally not sure what it means. I always thought it meant like you make the sounds that the keyboards play.
Yeah, I mean, there's like one class on that. Otherwise, I mean, it's basically, I, like you, thought the same thing when I did the high school thing too. And I was just so blown away with like the facilities and their approach relative to like, you know, like a Juilliard or you know, some other classical school, the conservatory. And yeah, once you're there, also, I mean, when you go there as like a young person, like it's potentially the wrong time to be placing people in those facilities. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
I always think about that. Yeah,
it's nuts.
At 17 years old, I mean, I didn't totally know what I wanted to do. I loved music.
Exactly.
But I wasn't ready to, have my parents and me, take all these loans out.
Yeah.
to pay for this thing that might not even pay off.
I totally get it.
Pay off,
I totally get it. So, okay, talk about getting your songwriting degree from Berkeley, and then where along the way did this turn into making videos and vines of people like Chubby Checker and Donald Trump? How did that happen?
Well, there's a long, decade or so of maybe even more of just working a day job. I worked after college. I worked a minimum wage job at a beer distributor in Pennsylvania, and then I moved on from there to work with people with disabilities at a developmental center. And all along I was writing songs and trying to figure out what I really wanted to do with my life. I mean, I enjoyed working with the people with disabilities.
Yeah.
Cool. But that kind of wears on you after a while. Yeah. It's pretty difficult in some respect.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But actually through that though, I was able to get a title to do music with the people with disabilities there. So I was doing essentially what is music therapy.
Very cool.
But I'm not a licensed music therapist, so I can't really call myself that. But I was doing basically what they do. And that was really exciting. I would, record songs with them, even write some songs with them. And a lot of it was more recreational, of like sing along kind of thing. Get the acoustic out and play a bunch of Beatles songs. And that was a lot of fun. But the progress was just so slow because they're very low level clients.
Right.
So it would be almost. A lot of the days were I felt like I was doing the same thing over and over again. Sure. And the progress was so slow. But I was there almost about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And I recently quit because I got this new job. But, during that time, I was still trying to figure out what to do. And then maybe about 2 years ago, I was starting to get into the video editing just to try it out. And just because I'd write a song and record a song, and then I'd want to put it up online somewhere. And a lot of people don't tend to want to listen to stuff that doesn't have video attached to it.
Yeah.
And it is hard. It is so hard to get people to listen to your music. It's
who are you telling? We're Berkeley grads.
So it's tough. So I started experimenting with my buddy Billy. I was playing music with him, Billy Kilgann, and he had me do some music videos for him and stuff like that. Cool. So that's where I kind of got into it, and I just would, because I'm not like trained in it or anything.
Sure,
so I don't really know what I'm doing. So I'm just like learning on the spot,
What do you use to edit your videos?
Well, I started with Sony Vegas because that's what I had. I had a PC. Gotcha. But now I switched over to Mac, like most people with but I'm still using Final Cut.
Sure.
Which I don't know. I doubt it's used mainly in the industry. You know, it's probably Premiere. It's
funny. I have video editor friends, and a lot of them use Final Cut. I think the two of them compared. The learning curve for Final Cut is a little more steep. I was forced to do like a campaign video, 6 months ago, and I got my crash course in Premiere, which I thought was pretty easy. I mean, truthfully, with no video editing experience at all, and I had used several, digital audio workstations, obviously for school and stuff, but I thought Premiere was pretty easy.
I've opened it up a couple times,
and you're just like, fuck this.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck it. I don't know where to.
Use whatever you're comfortable with is always the name of the game. And
I just also like when I open these things up, I'm in the middle of, or I'm just wanting to get started on a certain project. Yeah. So I don't want to spend the time to learn.
Absolutely. I
know Final Cut pretty well, so but yeah. So, eventually I'll switch over. I think.
Yeah, no, use whatever I switch back from music stuff from like Ableton and Logic. And then at school we're using Pro Tools, but whatever does not inhibit the creative process. It doesn't matter what it could be, finger paint. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, use that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so, all that matters is the final product,
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of final products, this is a good segue. I'm amazing at this. Here we go. How do you find videos to make, how do you find people to make videos of? And then tie-in question, how soon after you saw Chubby Checker did you realize you needed to make many, many videos of him and flood the internet with his insanity / awesomeness?
Well, I've always had an eye to see the bizarre, I guess, or always found it fascinating.
Yeah.
And also, I think I found a lot of moments in television or movies or videos or whatever that I see that I like find funny, but like I can't really, you know what I mean?
I do.
Say, hey, Dad, do you see this? Or what? Not funny, and like no one will get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think a lot of what I do comes from that, where I'm like, I see this like fucked up moment and want to focus in on that and highlight that. So that's kind of what I do, and I just use the digital zooming to present it, put it in your face,
It's amazing. I mean, as a fan, I always used to love, and I would torture my friends and family with watching public access television, because like I was like, how do you not realize these are people doing this in real life? Like, do you see what's going on here? You know, like I once made a friend in college watch. There was this public access show. It was called Squirrels and Jazz, and it was literally someone following squirrels around on the commons, just filming with jazz music behind it. I'm like, someone did this for like 5 hours, edited this together. Like this to me is amazing. Insane. Yeah, no, it was truly like incredible. So you see. What's the process though from when you see someone like what's the first thing you saw of Chubby Checker that made you do it too?
Well, the first thing I saw of Chubby Checker was Chubby Checker in person. Actually,
wow.
I if you remember Borders Books, they're defunct now, but there's one in town, and probably in 2002 or 2003, I think I was home from break from college, and I just went to Borders to check out the CDs and the books or whatever, just to look around. And it was like a Tuesday night, I think, and Chubby Checker was there signing autographs. But you had to buy his Reggae Twist CD to get his autograph. And even then, I was just like, "What? This is really weird." And he's just, he was just Chubby Checker, and it's just a bizarre dude. And I saw him like up close, and he just looks weird. Something's off about him.
Yeah.
But and that always sunk in my mind, and I would always tell people that if the twist would ever come on, I saw him at Borders, and it was really weird.
Yeah.
So then, that stuck in my mind, and then probably, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, I just came across some video of him like on a local news show, I think is what it was. And he like, everybody has their image of what Chubby Checker is.
Sure, of course.
You know what I mean? Like he's like this sweet old man or something. And but But when you dig a little deeper than the twist and whatever other songs she's had, there's a darkness
Oh
there
my God.
that that's scary and but funny, and I mean I think he's mostly harmless. I think.
Yeah, you would hopefully. Hopefully.
But he's definitely pushing boundaries with getting how close he gets with these women reporters.
Oh my God.
And stuff.
I mean,
and fans.
I will say I saw, I show it to my wife who I know you always tweet about how you're forcing your wife to watch these Chubby Checker videos. I also force my wife to watch your Chubby Checker videos. And she, for the most part, she loves them, but she gasps every time she watches one of the vines of him like molesting, I mean, for lack of a better word, right? I mean, it's just like assaulting women on stage.
On stage, like everybody's watching, like 1,000 people watching him like slap women's asses.
That's why I love what you do so much, because the context of being at a Chubby Checker concert, most people are caught up in like, oh, Chubby Checker, here he is, he's doing the twist. It's completely missed. And this is going to tie in with the political stuff I want to get into too. But, the context of it is there. It's like almost goes unmissed. But for anyone who's looking at this without that, bias of what's actually the moment of happening, you can see these insane things going on. Right. And I think that's like an important thing to focus on. My part of what I'm doing with this show, it's like a halfway spiritual show, halfway just me talking about stuff and with people I think are cool. But one of the things I really am focusing on is multiple perspectives on things. Because I think ultimately in life, the more perspectives you're able to cultivate on any situation, person, relationship, the better off you are. Then you're not looking at it from a limited, narrow focus. So, I mean, one of the things, I don't know if you look at your videos when you're making them like this, but what they really help with is they highlight these things that might just be completely lost, say during, Jeb Bush's announcement speech or Chris Christie's or something like that. So that's the segue into the political stuff. How did you decide? I don't know if I'm correct on this, but I followed your Trump for Prez Instagram. Oh yeah. Which explain to people what that is and what that was.
That started with Trump on Twitter. Always, for a while, he would just like pretty much retweet any compliment he got, before he started running for president. Right. And people would be like, really hope you run for president. And I just thought it was always like people like, trolling him, messing around with them. And just like, but like that we want you to be president and everything, you're great. You're a genius, whatever, and then, so then I started just, I mean, I think probably other people have done it too, but like I would just put up this fucked up picture of Trump that I, Photoshop or whatever, stick it like in along with the compliment, and then a number of times he would just blindly retweet it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And that was the greatest feeling to know that Trump is not knowing what he's doing and retweeting this horrible image of him. And then I just ended up making because I had so many of these pictures, and I was doing it so often that I just made this, account for it. But then he shut it down, though.
Oh, I know. I'm well aware he shut it down. I'm not. Is the Twitter account, are you still running that, or is that something?
Yeah, there's Twitter and Instagram now. It's Trump for President. With a Z, president. It was Trump for Prez. Now it's Trump for, the number 4.
Yeah.
President. So.
Yeah. It truly, I mean, that was the beginning. Oh, wait, was that the first political? I mean, he wasn't political then, right? He was just a goofus, right? He
always had views on everything. He had views on reality shows and, what nonsense going on. But that's around the time he started getting political.
What then how did it then fit in with all of these short versions? And explain to people what these you were doing short versions of things like presidential debates, announcements. How did that get started?
It kind of evolved because I knew there were going to be tons and tons of these Republicans announcing to run for president. So I just took, I think it might have been, Santorum or Huckabee, one of the first guys. And I just took their announcement speech and just, had a couple, it was maybe, they're only like a minute long or something. And it was just, a couple jokes throughout where I would just switch their words or take their phrases out of context and just make something, goofy and weird out of it. But then eventually it turned into more, I think, because it was evolving as it was going along. And then by the time I got to, I think it was Rick Perry, it was kind of more of a full event. You know what I mean? Where it'd be like a maybe 3-minute version of where I would say, I took all the highlights of the speech and just condensed it down to 3 minutes,
Right.
But of course the highlights are the lowlights.
Yeah, of course. They're in.
So just the worst moments and the most awkward, sweaty moments for Rick Perry.
Yeah, I mean, and you did one for almost all of not all. There was like 20.
I wanted to do them all, and I wanted to do all the Democrats too, but there was just so much going on, and they're really time consuming. I mean, I spent so long on those things.
I can only imagine. I mean, you also are probably. I mean, how many handfuls of people are watching every single announcement speech from the Republicans too? You had to watch them to edit them down.
Exactly. I mean, I forget whose it was. It was just so long, and it might have been Rick Perry's or someone. And it was just so long, and I just remember just like wanting to give up halfway through, just like digging through to find stuff, and just
I can only imagine. It's like you're doing the Lord's work, Vic.
Yeah,
I know you know that.
Right.
But okay, so this is something also I noticed. I didn't know who this guy was until I saw your tweets about him. Steven Crowder.
Oh boy.
What the fuck is going on? Explain to the listeners, to me, what is going on there? Who's Steven Crowder? And just
so he is this kid basically. I mean, he started doing all this conservative comedy in his early 20s. But apparently he was like a voice actor. He did a voice on Arthur, the cartoon.
I saw that. It's nuts.
So he's just like this kid that thinks he knows everything about everybody, and he is basically like a Sean Hannity for the youth, I would say. But he's even more open about his racism,
right?
And his sexism, and he just like hates women and gay rights and everything. But he thinly veils all this stuff, but he makes all these
in the thinnest of ways. I
mean, everyone can see through it. So I mean, I only found out about him a couple of weeks ago. Somebody for some reason tagged my name into a response to him, and then I just looked at this guy and I watched his videos, and he has like this video podcast where he interviews Ted Cruz and Huckabee, all these dopes.
Yeah.
So
you know what I
mean? And so that started, and then I just did a couple minutes of research on him, and I was gonna move on with my day, but then I found this video of him rapping at the Conservative Political Action Committee conference or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And he's rapping, and he basically uses the N-word, but he uses like something that sounds like the N-word, and the whole rap song stops, and it's just very offensive. And so I just I did a short version of that. And I highlighted all these white people dancing and moving to his rap song, his racist rap song, and then I put that online, and I said check out Santorum's favorite comedian or something. And that and so that kind of blew up a little bit. So he's getting all these notifications and everything about from because of that. So and then he got pissed about that, but then he hasn't responded. Anytime I send him something with the video attached, he doesn't respond, and he hasn't blocked me yet, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess he's for free speech. So
there you go. At least he's consistent. Well,
so but he's just horrible. And actually he was up and running for the Daily Show years ago.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, I like you. I mean, I probably found out about him not long after you did. I mean, I looked into it and I went through his timeline on Twitter, read his Wikipedia, and was also just amazed at and his YouTube channel, his pot. I mean, it's pretty nuts. The thing and this is like this, and you put something up and you wrote this to him on Twitter, and I thought it was poignant. And because then I think you said that he's a hate-based comedian, and I think that's really, besides being funny, is super on point, and it also highlights the difference. Like we know now. I mean, look at the Republican Party. Look at all of the fucked up shit going around the world. The world is in, not everything is great. Okay,
Right.
let's just say, for lack of better words. You know, comedy happens to be one of the best antidotes for all of this stuff. Like, truthfully, it can really take people out. I mean, you can see people who are dealing with immediate tragedy, like a death in the family.
Sure.
I remember when my dad's mom died, you know, he was up visiting me before the funeral, and we were watching, like, we marathoned Arrested Development, and like it took his mind off, and I could see how it genuinely took him out of a space of grief and like kind of bewilderment into like, so I really think comedy just has an amazing ability to resonate with people and actually do the change. But when you see something like Steven Crowder take your pick of any of these comedians or politicos or anyone who are using it to kind of spew these hateful, divisive things, like it blows my mind. And I say that because I go through your videos, and you know, they're not mean. You're highlighting odd things that actually happen. There may be an emphasis in a certain point, but like, it's not coming from a place of trying to tear someone down. It's just like, this is crazy. Look at this. So can you just talk about, like, I know I imagine you're probably not consciously thinking of this when you're making the videos, but can you talk about just like your process, you know, and how you view it, you know, differing from someone like a Crowder?
Yeah, it's not always totally conscious. I think it is kind of an extension of my personality in a way, where I just don't want to be a mean guy. You know what I mean? But there are things that really piss me off in the world. And instead of coming at it, you know, with hate, I think I just kind of, I highlight what, like you said, like what's going on, and frame it in a way where the humor, you know, outweighs the point that I'm trying to make. But there is the point there, you know what I mean, that I am trying to make, and for a number of these things. And I would say that like people like Crowder, they have this like huge agenda where they're trying to push, but then they're also trying to say that they're comedians,
right?
And like their agenda severely outweighs like any kind of humor that they might be having. So then it turns people off. It's not funny, you know. It's just comes across as hateful, you know. And
well, that's what I wonder. To us, it does, right? But I mean, he's got how many Twitter followers, how many subscribers, how many people coming to his defense to say the Thanksgiving thing he did, you know, Native Americans are like,
like that's horrible. But I mean, I think that might say something about the people that he's pulling in too. I guess, you know, that those people they thrive on that. They you know what I mean. So I think I would think they're fine with that, I guess. You know, I don't know. It's hard to say what's going on with those guys.
It is. I mean, I try to figure it out. I mean, on some level, I mean, I don't like to psychoanalyze people I don't know, but when you see someone who's so clearly just, I don't know what the reward is from his side outside of popularity or an ego boost, which is fine. I get that a lot of people it's ego. It's not about what they're creating. It's not about the value they're providing, but it's about the attention that they're getting, which I can only assume is what's going on. But still, like, to take a step back and be like, well, am I hurting people? Is this mean? Am I going to, you know, make someone do something horrible because this stuff is ramping them up? Knowing all of that, right? And so you said you have your new job. Are you doing this full time now?
I am.
Cool.
I'm working for Super Deluxe, who they were around maybe like 9 years ago. And it's going to be like a comedy website with you know, a lot of cool people that I am fans of, you know, are working there now. It hasn't premiered yet, so I probably shouldn't be talking about it, but you know, but it's coming out like very soon.
Very cool.
And I'm making these, you know, a lot of political stuff and a lot of non-political stuff. Some Jim Bakker videos I'll be making.
Well, don't worry, we're gonna get into. I saved the best for last, my friend.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. So, okay, before the Jim Bakker stuff, because we can talk about it, because I found you very early on through Tim Heidecker, who I'm a huge fan of Tim and Eric, and Tim, we had the privilege of seeing him do stand up here in DC at the Benson Ball, and oh my God,
that's incredible.
It just I know you were lucky enough to, I think he brought you on stage at one point for one of the shows. Can you talk about him being kind of a champion of yours and how that started? And also I want to get into the Jeb for Prez and his role in that, the tattoo. Okay. So yeah, the Tim Heidecker, I'm super interested in that.
Sure. Well, about maybe 2.5 years ago, when I was still, strictly doing music, I was a fan of Tim and Greg Turkington's On Cinema, which is a great show. I love it so much. They had all these episodes where it was involving Tim and his new girlfriend Ayaka.
Yeah.
So when they would release an episode on, say, like a Wednesday afternoon or something, I would watch it and then come up with a fan's response to it, but I would do it through song.
Yeah.
And so I would that night I'd come home from work and write this song and record it and everything, and then make a little video for it that went along with it, and then send that to him. And he got a kick out of those. Tim got a kick out of those. So I did, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 of those or so.
Yeah.
And then after a while, he contacted me and asked me if I wanted to edit something for the On Cinema Oscar special.
Yeah.
Which was like incredible.
Yeah.
And especially since I never really edited anything real before. You know what I mean? I wasn't.
Good first gig. Great first gig.
Yeah, I know. I learned on the job. Yeah. So I said yes, and then ran out and got a MacBook and learned the software real quick.
So cool.
And they sent me all this footage, and it was green screen, which I never really used before. And Joe Estevez and Freya were in it, and it was Tim winning an Oscar for his role in his autobiography biopic, Tim Story it was called. So I edited this thing, and luckily they liked it and everything, and it worked out, and they played it on the special. Yeah. So then that's kind of where it all started with Tim, and he, since he was following me on Twitter, he kind of watched me, I guess, evolve in a way, the videos I was making, and then he did become a champion of mine, and help promoting certain things that I did, and also he would give me advice of what to do with certain spots or certain videos that were longer, or too long or whatever, just
I'm sure along the way. The most valuable input you can get. I mean, and he's, really wouldn't be,
where I am, in this career without his help, this fast, because I've really only been doing video editing for 2 years,
Yeah.
So he's been really helpful, and he's brought me on to edit some Tim and Eric promos,
Cool.
So it's really incredible to be working with, people that I'm such huge fans of.
And I imagine Greg too, because you directed the Neil Hamburger video, music video. Can you talk about that a little bit? Yeah. Yeah,
he's incredible. That was my second, big gig after the Tim video. He wanted something for his new album that was coming out. It was a disco song about garbage bags.
Yeah, of course.
Garbage bags. So he likes some of the because I do some of these like cheap animation kind of things because I don't know how to animate at all, but I would just basically Photoshop pictures of people's faces and just bounce them around on the street, whatever. So it was like he wanted something, I guess, sort of along those lines. So that took forever to do that video.
Yeah, that's good. It's really good,
and it was also like a 4-minute song, 4.5-minute song. So I had to come up with animations for every scene. So that took forever. I can only imagine what actual hand drawn animation, how long that would.
Nuts. Totally nuts.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay.
That's cool, man. I because I love both those guys too. I'm a big On Cinema fan. Decker. I'm a Decker head. It's just to me, that's also one of the reasons I just love what you're doing. I don't know that my wife called it bizarre too. I just say it's kind of like absurd, but to me it's just amazing. I don't know what exactly it's honing in on that clicks for me, but it does. So I want to talk about one of your viral videos on Vine, Jeb for Prez tattoo tie-in MacBook Pro baby. So can you explain how you got recently featured on CNN because of something you did with Jeb Bush?
Well, so when was that? Man, I don't even know when that was. Was it July? I think it was.
Yeah.
I just, I was doing all these dumb vines of Jeb where I'll start from following his YouTube channel where he has this series of videos called Jeb Unfiltered, and it's him basically, his crew making him do things that normal people do. For example, like putting on a hoodie. That's the entire video.
But how does he put on a hoodie though? That's the question.
He puts it on. He doesn't unzip it. He just slips it over his head and struggles with it rather than unzip it and put it on, arm by arm. But he puts it over his head, and it's ridiculous. And there's a video of him using Uber where he's like, man, everybody does it. It's commonplace. No big deal. Everybody uses Uber. He doesn't use Uber. There's no reason for him to use Uber. So then there was one where I love that there's ones that they ask him a question and it'll be like, Windows or Mac. And then he has to answer. And then there's like a series of these questions, but you don't hear him ask. They don't show like them asking the question. So he's basically like listing off products and things that he likes to show that he's a regular guy. so I just took the one. Well, I've used all of the ones where he lists stuff. I've made stuff out of. But the most popular one was obviously the Jeb Loves Technology Vine, where they're asking him like if he likes Android or iPhone, and so what is it, iPhone, and he says MacBook Pro baby, and then Apple Watch, and that's it, and it's just and then there's like a quick shot of his eyes blinking over. So that's the entire Vine. So it was like Friday night it was like midnight on a Friday night, and I was like falling asleep, and I just, for whatever reason, I just put up, if this Jeb Loves Technology Vine hits 1 million views or 1 million loops, I will get a Jeb for Prez tattoo on my neck. Which, like, it's the stupidest thing ever. I mean, I seriously thought 5 seconds about it, as I'm typing. I didn't think anything of it. Got up the next day and it was kind of taken off. And then in, I don't know, 4 days, it ended up hitting 1 million. But that's mainly because Jeb's people, they saw this Vine, this tweet, because I tagged Jeb in it, and Jeb's people put out a tweet that said, "I want to make Vic get this neck tattoo. Give this a number of views. Do what you can to help. I want to make him get this." Right. It's just like, don't do. What are you doing?
Why would you do it?
Because he thinks like, I guess they think the kids are like, this is what the kids are doing. They're getting these neck tattoos these days. For president.
That's what the thing. That's what the kids do now.
That's what they do. They're into these tattoos. So let's get it. Let's make this poor guy who we don't know at all. He could be insane.
We don't just tattoo it up.
But let's get this on his neck. So that's the worst thing to do. So, but they did it. And then as it's going along, Jeb's like his social media managers and all these communication managers are contacting me, and there's one Erin Gates was her name. She's like, yeah, you should come down to Miami. We're known for these kind of things. We're known for these tattoos. But come on down to Miami. And she's like, yeah, make sure you pics or it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, what are you doing? So that they're pushing me to get this thing. So it hit 1 million, and then so I said I will get the tattoo. And then I kind of disappeared for a week because I was on vacation. And so then I came back. I went up to Maine and came back. And a buddy of mine, Scott Tice, and my friend Thaddeus Bakula, we went to this tattoo parlor up the street and got a tattoo. But it we filmed it and everything, got all these pictures of it, but it was, obviously, to me and people that knew me, it's going to be fake.
Right.
But nobody in the world really knew this.
Right. Exactly.
So, so we went there and this guy named Elvis, he drew it with Sharpie, but he did go in for a while, to draw some blood.
Yeah.
And to make it look authentic and everything.
You got it.
Yeah. So then the next day I send these pictures to Jeb's people and I say, I got the tattoo.
And it's huge. Just explain how the tattoo is massive.
It's just like this massive thing on my neck that says Jeb 4, the number 4 Prez with a Z. So it's like even if Jeb wins the presidency, it's going to be like pointless to have because it's like just promoting him to become president. It's just the most pointless tattoo.
Oh my god!
Because it's irrelevant in a couple months. So it's just this massive thing. And actually, afterwards we did go out to eat, and I did go out.
Still have the Sharpie?
Yeah. People were giving me looks, and I saw a couple of people laugh, but I think they really thought it was real.
Oh, of course. Why?
Why would they doubt me?
Yeah.
So that was. I was kind of a little embarrassed, and at one point I did go to try and wash it off, but it
just really wouldn't come off, man. I was wondering that because I saw it and was like, this looks like Sharpie. It's probably not like a temporary tattoo, which you can peel off or something. I'm like, I wonder how long he had to have that on his neck.
It was there like 2.5, 3 days. It started to fade after a while.
Oh my God. Well, no, and also explain that at a certain point, I think I read in the CNN thing that Tim played your dad and said that you were mentally disturbed. Explain that. Explain what happened.
Yeah. So I was kind of consulting with Tim and Greg throughout that, right? Because Tim's done stuff like this before, where he was like the editor of Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's done a lot of these things.
Yeah.
So he's the pro, to talk to, and he said, you should really, to take this to another level, have somebody step in and to bring more reality to it,
right.
And so he ended up. I called my dad and got his password because he signed up for Twitter.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what it was, but so I got his password and then to make it look authentic, and then that day, the day after I got the tattoo, Tim went in and contacted all the people that were all these like reporters, because all these stories were written about me. Yeah. And so he contacted all these reporters, all the people from Jeb's campaign, saying, how I have undiagnosed mental disorders. I've always had these things. He thought his life was getting back on track, but this kind of derailed it. Vic lost his job at the Turkey Hill mini mart. Jeb, what have you done? All this, like,
it's amazing.
Yeah. So after that, nobody from the Jeb campaign, from the Jeb crew contacted me again. They've been silent,
Right.
And rightly so. They should have done that from the start.
Absolutely.
But they're enabling this, encouraging this crazy guy to get this tattoo.
Okay, you opened yourself up for the perfect segue with crazy guy, Jim Bakker.
I love him. He's crazy and scary and horrible, but I love his show so much.
Oh my God. Your latest video, the Buckets video, for people who haven't seen it, I'm going to put a link on the page for this. Awesome. But I'll be linking to so many things on this page. Nice. But that one in particular, I've showed it to my entire family, to all of my friends, some with totally getting it. I will say my mom loved it. She thought it was the funniest thing. And one of the things, just explain Jim Bakker in a nutshell. I did a little research. I didn't know that he was like an evangelical from back in the day. But explain who he is, because he looks so different now too.
He does. Nuts. He's kind of hiding his identity, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
But in the 60s and 70s, he's one of the earliest televangelists, working with Pat Robertson. And I guess he had a puppet show to start off. Yeah. But then eventually, his empires kept growing and growing, and he had his own television studio. I think even at one point, him and his wife Tammy Faye Bakker had like an amusement park, I believe.
Yeah.
It was like this huge, huge thing going on. Millions and millions of dollars. They had this massive home. And then I don't know exactly all the details of it, but I know that there was some weird affair going on with him and his secretary. Yeah. And also then it came out that he is, I guess, embezzling all this money.
Yes.
So eventually, I guess the FBI or somebody, in the government found out about this, and prosecuted him, and he spent, I think, 5 years in jail.
Yeah.
In the I guess it would be late '80s, something like that. And Tammy Faye, I think, moved on after that.
Yep.
And then he got out, and then I guess a couple years ago he made his way back to TV.
Oh, yes, he did.
Here he is again. He's got his new wife Lori,
Yep.
who is
wow.
She's heavily medicated. And are
we sure she's not being held captive too?
Yes.
Because like what the
I know it really could be. It could be
I know. It's crazy nuts.
But who knows what's going on? And he's got this whole cast of characters of these guys that claim to be prophets and claim to be these genius whatever they are, that they know what's going to happen with the world. But the whole show is, it's based around Christianity, I guess, and God, but the whole show they're pushing food.
Yeah. But how are they pushing the food?
But they're selling for when the apocalypse happens and the world's coming to an end. He wants you to have these buckets of dried food, of like anything you can imagine, pizza, of soup, of mashed potato, anything. Anything you can think of. He's got
22-gallon buckets
dehydrated in a 22-gallon bucket. and it's absurd. It sounds like we're making it up, but it's really happening, and and they're a lot of money. I mean, they're thousands of dollars for these.
$2,500 for 28 buckets, and that includes 6 bonus buckets. I mean,
who needs 28 buckets of anything?
For anything in life, you don't need 28 buckets of.
And they're big buckets.
Yeah.
They're fascinating, and then they do these I guess these yearly events where they the end time conference or whatever, and so every day of the week they broadcast it every day, by the way. So
is that really? It's a daily show.
Yeah, it's a daily thing, and actually they shoot them all in one day.
Oh, okay.
So it's like 6 hours of shooting, but usually by the 5th hour, Jim is like real raw.
Yeah.
He's been filming forever. so that's when he gets even weirder with they got this 22 gallons of rice, and then they poured 22 gallons of this cheesy broccoli soup into the rice, and they're in these massive tubs. You could fit a couple bodies in there. And he's pouring all these everything together. It's just a mess. It's unbelievable, and you have to see it to believe it. I guess.
It is. And so what you did is you edited some of these things together. I mean, truthfully, I imagine it's, of all the things, it's got to be one of the easier ones to find gold with this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, because
it was painless for me. And a lot of times I'm stressed out because I'm trying to figure out which direction to go. But this was painless and the most fun editing I've ever done. Because there's so much material there. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's almost like you have to figure out what to leave out because there's so much gold,
It's to me, I mean, there's nothing. And one of the other things you can explain a little bit about this to the listeners is you do, and I've noticed it from the very beginning, is your video editing is great, obviously, but your sound design and sound editing is so good. It really has a way of fitting in with the absurdity of what's going on. I noticed that especially with the buckets video. The music, it's awesome, totally awesome. So what goes into that? Do you just do typical film scoring thing, watch it and play along to it, or do you make something and overlay it, or is it? Well,
the music though is a lot of it is stock music that I've manipulated.
Nice.
And it's this old 70s synth stock music that I have that I mess with and edit and change the pitch of it and the tempo and everything. But a lot of the sounds are me, the sound effects are me tapping whatever,
Yeah.
like, just to emphasize it. And then I change the pitch of, like, I'll like do a clap or something, but I'll change the pitch of it to intensify it.
Yeah,
I'll, like,
yeah, make
go
it deeper.
low,
Yeah.
Or slam a table. Like, I love when he slams a table.
Woomph. Yeah.
That's like 4 or 5 of me slamming my desk. And you can hear like rattling and stuff. So so that's where I come from, this music and sound editing and everything for years. So that's where I really like to pay special focus to. And so there's no, like, when I'm using multiple clips from different areas of the video, different times of the video, I want to make them as seamless as possible.
Right.
So I really pay special attention to the sound. I try and make it where it's like, a lot of my videos, I think sometimes you can tell that the video, or a lot of times you can probably tell that the video is like manipulated, but I think a lot of them, if you close your eyes and just listen to it,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? It would almost pass as something that's legitimate, that actually happened.
There's one of the you do a lot of these things, but I remember there's a Marco Rubio one where you do a little like Porky Pig thing where he's like, but it's just looped back and forth, but it's done. I mean, I really, having gone to the same school, I really appreciate like those little things. And for something like the content is so silly, but you also, there's like a high degree of skill with this stuff too. I mean, it's pretty cool, man.
Awesome.
So, okay, I have to end this. I was wondering if you wanted to do a little rapid fire free association with some names, and you can tell me what comes to mind. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I got 8 of them, and you can you take your time. You don't have to do it right away. Ted Cruz.
Oh man, just like what comes to mind?
Yeah.
Oh, his voice is so brash and horrible. I think he doesn't. When somebody asks him a question like that's, they want a serious answer to, he's able to warp it and just keep talking until he's not talking about what the question was. And he's very skillful at that. And I hate him. Amazing Grace.
So I'll link to that video too.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. He's my, I shouldn't say hate, because I
get it. I get it.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
I dislike him as much as you can dislike somebody.
Okay, quickly, Chubby Checker.
Chubby Checker, oh man, he's my favorite guy. He's creepy, but he's great, and he should be put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like he asked.
Yes, he should. Donald Trump.
Trump is up there with Cruz, but he's also he's entertaining, but he's also frightening, and I find him hilarious, but the longer he stays in the race, the less funny I find him.
Yeah, it's getting weird. It's definitely it's passing weird and getting into like, I hope this guy isn't a Nazi. That's where we're going. Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal. Oh man, he's an interesting character. I don't really like him as much as the other guys because he's so serious and I don't know if I like his dancing when he's
oh my God.
No, I think that's hilarious about him, but like when he's talking though, I don't know. I thought he was gonna be funnier than he was, but he's too serious and frightening.
He's very serious. All right, Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri is great. I think everybody can agree that he's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
No, everyone. I think it's unanimous.
I think everybody gets that. He's this character, and he kind of has to stay. He has to keep living up to this like dumpy guy that he is. He's probably smarter than that because he's got this huge empire. You know?
Yeah. Speaking of huge empires, what about Emeril Lagasse?
Oh my God, I do not like him. I did a video that's one of my favorite things of him being interviewed for, I think it was the New York Times.
Yes.
Where he's, of course he throws out his BAM a couple times.
Yeah.
But in town we have a casino that went in a couple of years ago that I was pretty against, to come in. Mm-hmm. But it came in anyway, even though I didn't want it.
Yeah.
But he has, I think it's like 3 or 4 restaurants in the casino, and it's just it's just awful. There's a restaurant called Burgers and More, or BAM, BAM, and it's just terrible. And he's I have a family member that works there, and he's always hitting on the girl. He comes in, and he's always.
I don't find it surprising. I mean, he also, if anyone hasn't seen it, watch on YouTube his show. He had a TV show. Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh my god.
It's bad.
So watch that. Two more I got for you. Jeb Bush.
Jeb Bush. He's goofy, unintentionally funny. I would say. I think I would say he's seen. I mean, I don't know much about like when he was governor of Florida,
right?
But I would think he would mostly be harmless. But then some of these things, but he's still a Bush, you know. So I think there's all those things going in there, like how he wanted the Syrian refugees to prove that they're Christians before they come to America.
Right.
That's frightening.
Right.
And the opposite of what America's all about. So I think the longer he stays in too, the less funny I find him.
Yeah, he's definitely I don't, he's obviously like a milquetoast kind of guy. You can tell he's like, and he's struggling with that, and his family is, two of them have been presidents. It's got to be, but he's also like, you can tell he's pretty much, I get the sense he'd be willing to do whatever he needed to do to be president. And that's a scary thing too.
Yeah, he exactly. He has his dad and his brother that were presidents.
Yeah.
And, this crazy career, and he wants to join them. But who knows if it's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see him play out that myth in some way. So last one, Ben Carson.
Oh man, Ben, he's amazing. That I don't like, where did he come from? How did he get to where he is? I mean, I don't know. I mean, just coming from, from a surgical background as a doctor, how did he get in this? And how did anybody say, look at this guy. I want this guy running running the country. I mean, I don't know how anybody could honestly say that. It's amazing to me, really.
It is also amazing to me. All right, that's all I have with the free associate. I mean, I think we're at the end here, dude. This has been a ton of fun for me. I'm one of my favorite guests to have on here.
Awesome.
Is there anything you want to actively promote now? I'm going to have links all over this page to all of your stuff, but I know you're on Twitter. Why don't you tell people your Twitter handle?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. It's Vic Berger IV. I'm the fourth. So it's Vic VIC Berger BERGER and then IV. What else we got? There's, I guess you could follow Trump for President, on Instagram and Twitter, and my YouTube channel is, I don't even know what the address is for that, but if you just type in Vic Berger on YouTube, and you can find it there. And also, you can see stuff that I'm doing for Super Deluxe on a channel called Hot Tolerance.
Cool.
So you can check that out.
And I'll say this as someone, my day job, so to speak, is I do digital consulting, for web stuff. YouTube, I definitely subscribe to Vic's YouTube page. It's one of the best ways to actually reach people and stay engaged with them. And as video content proliferates, and as Vic is a video editor, if you want to stay connected there, and also I don't think you mentioned it, but Vine. Definitely follow Vic on Vine. Some of the best Vine, my favorite Viner for sure, without a doubt.
Oh, thanks, man.
So thanks again, man. Really, thank you for coming on.
Let's do it again.
Yes, let's definitely do it again.
Yeah, next time I get a tattoo, all right?
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, man.
All right, Noah.
All right, bye-bye.
Goodbye.
It's called a checkerboard. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? You get a chance to see her moving around in her clothes, exploiting her sexuality while being fully dressed. Isn't that cute?